Hey, Tony Gaskins here. I want to talk to you. We're getting close to 2020, and I want you to understand really about standards and really ask yourself, do I have standards? Now, this is going to change your life, so bear with me here while you're driving or doing whatever. Do you have standards? Because what I see most often is people saying one thing and then doing another. And we don't truly, a lot of times, believe or walk in what we say. So if I believe in balance and I believe in family, and if I say family is first, then I should not be available at all times of the day, every day of the week, responding to text messages to people who are not my family. So, what I had to do is set a cutoff time where on Friday night at 5 p.m. until Monday morning 9 a.m., I don't answer text messages outside of family. So if I'm away from my wife and she writes me, yes. My son, yes. But outside of that, I had to create boundaries so that I have time to really center myself, separate myself, fill myself up with my loved ones before I go back out to serving everybody else but me. So my actions had to match up with my words. And I want you to really think about this. Now, it's been a huge trend on my page the last week where I was talking about going into 2020 and dating in 2020. And a lot of ladies were saying, I would never offer to pay half because the man should pay full for the date. And then I asked some of those ladies, well, if you set that standard to say that you should be catered to, courted, and courted to you means that the man foots the entire bill to the point that you don't even have to offer to help out, then how does that standard go into a relationship? How does that show up in a relationship? Because you can't say on one hand treat me like a queen, but then go into the relationship and say it's okay, or I'm gonna forgive you sleeping with another woman, or I'm going to be texting another woman asking her why is she talking to my man, and I'm going to be okay with sleeping with you before marriage, before you've given me a covenant and a lifetime commitment. So, do your actions match your words? Do you truly have standards? I'm an author and I have a publishing deal with one of the big five publishers. Well, it would make no sense if I said, hey, I'm worth this amount of money in an advance, but I let them fly me on a private jet and put me in a five-star hotel and give me 3 meals a day. That's all expensive, and then accept $0 in advance money because I was catered to and courted and I got all the flashy stuff, but really in the meat of my deal, I have nothing. So you have to ask yourself, do I really have standards? If you're a man and you're going into the world and you're saying, hey, treat me like a man, respect me, honor me, but then you don't respect your own woman. You don't take care of your children or spend time with your children the way you should be spending time with your children. You don't protect your mind, your body, what you're watching, what you're eating, what you're doing, who you're lying down with. But then you say, respect me and see me as a man. But you are carrying yourself as a grown boy. So I want you to really think about this and look at every area of your life. So look at your life, meaning just with your interaction, friends, family, and write down, if you need to, how you want to be treated. So you look at life, you look at love, and you look at business. So in my life, I say I want all of these relationships with friends and family to be a win-win. I want to be respected. I don't want to be Mr. Handout. I don't want to be used. I want to be respected. So I look at and I pay attention to the energy of the people. So I remember it was a individual, and I'm giving. And the individual is taking. Always coming to me. Hey, can you connect me here? Can you connect me there? You got this connection. You got that connection. And then one day I said, hey, got this new project coming out, for life coaches. Would love for you to be one of the coaches on there. And the individuals just went a whole rundown a list of how it's gonna fail and why should he do it and all of this stuff after all I had done and all I've exemplified to even question my business acumen when I'm 10 times, 20 times more successful. That showed me that this person is not happy for my success. This person is here just to get what he can get from me. I remove myself and I share these real life stories. Why? Because I'm a real one, and I'm going to keep it real across the board because my actions got to match my words. And that's what I want you to think about and really ask yourself, are you lining up? Are you saying, and I find this all the time in coaching calls where I'm coaching somebody and they're saying, I'm a good person. I'm a classy person. I'm a great catch. And I'm like, well, you said that you're a great catch and that you're a great woman, but you sleeping with a man on the first night. That does not go together. You said that you're a great catch, but you allow a man to put hands on you and you stay. That does not go together. So you look at your life. I remember there's another individual in my life, colleague, and would talk to me like a toxic boyfriend talks to a girlfriend. And I'm all about my wife. So as a man, you're not finna talk to me and make me feel like I'm listening to one of my clients tell me about her toxic boyfriend. I said, hold on. I'm like, hold on. What? Hold on. Oh. I said, brother, listen here. Bro, if you text me and I don't text you back, that's because I'm busy. Don't you ever in your life ask me what's taking me so long to text you back and why I'm not texting you back right away. I said, bro, you not my daddy and you not my girlfriend. I say, bro, don't ever try me like that again. Guess what? That probably was a few years ago, last time I talked to the young man. Last time I talked to the man, because this kept happening over and over, like questioning me, checking me, like I'm like, bro, I met you along the street. What's this? Hey, just like that. You have to be able to cut ties. You got to be able to let people know. And because it's going to be certain people to where you doing for them. You giving them anytime they call you, you there. You sending them blessings, you blessing them, and then you go to them and you say, hey, can you do this for me? And it's something that you know is not that big of a deal. And they're like, oh, I'm tied up. I'm busy. I ain't going to be able to. And you sit and you like, what? Guess what? That just shows you that this is not a win-win situation. This not a mutual beneficial situation. So that's what you do in your life. You write out and you determine what you want from your friendships, from your associations, from your associates, your colleagues, your friends, and your family members. How do you want to be treated? Now, this is the thing. You got to make sure that you're giving the energy that you want to receive. So this ain't one-sided. This is not one-sided. You know, it's Christmas, and I have to use myself as an example, so don't get it twisted. Don't feel like I'm just bragging or telling something, but I'd rather use me as an example, my personal life, than telling somebody else's business. But this Christmas, this December, and my little sister came to me, and she want to get a new car, and she taking care of her children. She got 3 children. She taking care of them by herself. She working a full-time job. She started a home health agency. And so she making some money, but not a whole lot of money, and not able to get herself all the way out of the hole. And her car really old. It's breaking down, over 200,000 miles. And yes, I have a better, more money, but I got a wife and 2 kids. And I got 11 companies that I have to run. So although my income may be higher, my expenses are also way higher. But even in the month of December, I blessed my sister with $2,500 because that was the minimum down payment the dealer would take. And I gave her the $2,500, and I said, look, God bless you. Now, guess what? That's one of my standards. That if a family member come to me and ask me for something, I need to be able to look at their life and see that they are trying to help themselves. Because I've gotten questions like that from friends and family members, but they aren't doing anything. But because she went through the process that I put her through to start her home health agency, and she did all that work, and she's working every day, and she's getting her staff, and she's hiring staff, and they got their clients that they go visit in their homes, and she running a business, and she's not in a toxic relationship dealing with a deadbeat man. Because she's doing what she needs to do, then I'm willing to help somebody who will help themselves. So write down, and you need to have your bylaws. Just like if you start a nonprofit organization, you got to have bylaws, how the mission and what your company does and what it stands for and how you operate. You need to have personal bylaws in your life and that you stick to. So I could have $1 million in the bank, but if one of my cousins come to me and say, "Cuz, hey, you got 500 for me?" Absolutely not. If that cousin is able-bodied and not working. If you're not working and you laying up somewhere and you ain't doing what you need to do, I know I don't have $500. Absolutely not. If you gambling all your money away, you splurging, whatever you doing, and then you coming to ask me, nope, don't got it. And I could be every name in the book. My family, even with my inner family, a young lady asked me to talk about this, why at certain times I had to block family members with my family. It does not matter if it's my mother, my sister, my father. It does not matter if somebody is bringing negative energy to my life. What my mom, she learned early on, do not speak anything negative about my wife, because that's who I'm in covenant with. And the Bible tells you a husband will forsake his mother and father and cleave to his wife. That's who I married. That's who I'm in covenant with. My mother and my sister, because sometimes women could be catty and petty. And even my wife, I let her know. Don't speak nothing ill of my mother and my sister. And because that's my blood. And if they meet these certain requirements, if they helping themselves and their energy right, then we will help them. And my wife knows that. It's December in Christmas, and she saw me give $2,500, and she agreed to it because she understands how I live my life. And she sees me say no a whole lot of times when she probably would have said yes. But she understands how I live my life. Because this is what you got to realize. I run 11 companies and I have over 50 streams of income, and I do YouTube and I do Instagram and Facebook, and I do speaking engagements around the world. We got the retreat coming up in Dubai. Then we got the retreat in St. Lucia for the single self-love retreat. Then I got the retreat in California, self-love retreat. And all of these things on my website, on the events page. And you see me moving and going, but it's because I create structure and standards that I live by. It's not that I'm just Superman, but I can give you time, and you can feel like I'm giving you a whole lot of time because you seeing me on a video every day. But I'm giving you 20 minutes out of 24 hours because I create structure and standards and give my life direction. And at the same time, while I'm serving you, I could be ghostwriting a book for a client or 3 or 4 clients because I'm creating standards and structure. So I want you to understand, you have to give yourself standards and structure. Now then, you look at your love life, and in love, you have to write down your standards. What do you want? How do you want to be treated? You want it to be a win-win. You want it to be mutually beneficial. You want it to not only you just serving them, but they also are serving you. So you give, sometimes, like for me, I can give things that my wife cannot give, because if I'm taking and I'm creating business, because that's my area, and then she's better on the administration side, so she kind of runs the businesses, oversees the customer service and the booking and the managing of it, and I oversee the ideas. And then she says, listen, she oversees the bills, but I oversee how money is made. And so we have our different strengths. So if I'm serving her and I'm blessing her and I'm getting gifts and I'm speaking one of her love languages of gifts, for nothing gifts. And so she's feeling good as a woman because she got a new pair of shoes to wear. She had clothes for every season. She got jewelry. She feel adorned. She feel beautiful. She could get a facial. She could get a back massage. She could get her hair done, her nails done, all of this stuff on a regular. So then that's what means something to her. I don't need to go get my nails done and my hair done and get a facial, and clothes and shoes don't mean as much to me as it does to her as a woman. So in return, I say, well, look, I love acts of service. So act of service is, if you cook breakfast for me, I love that. That make me feel amazing. She made me one of my favorite breakfast sandwiches this morning on a biscuit, fried egg, and turkey bacon with a bottle of water. Hey, that right there feel like $1 million to me. But if I'm giving, and then she does nothing for me, then that's a one-way street. So I'm drained and not being replenished. You have to look at your relationship, and you serving, you sucking and ducking and shucking and jiving, and you doing all of this, but then your man won't even hold your hand in public. Your man does not tell you, I love you, but I love you means a lot to you. Your man does not serve you. Your man leaves you home to go out to the club. Your man texting other women and in the DMs of other women and liking other women pictures online, but you serving him. You 100% faithful. You doing everything. That's a one-way street. If you a man and you go out and your situation, in your relationship is to where you work and your woman is home, and you go out and you provide a great living, and your woman has been home all day, and then you come home and your house is filthy, and you're like, well, wow, okay, if I'm doing this and it's hard and it's hurting me, and it, nobody wants to be doing the type of work that I'm doing or as much as I have to do, but at least I would love when I come home if you kind of, straighten up a little bit. And if you as a man are giving, and you 100% faithful, and you giving of yourself, you providing, but then your woman doesn't do what she can do for you, whatever that may be, then that's a one-way street. So even in your love life, you have to set standards. Sit down and write it down. If you got to write it down, see, I got a big head, and I've had a big head since I was a child, and they had to order a special helmet for me when I was 7 years old. You know, even the helmet for the 15-year-old did not fit my head. So they came to me and they said, "Sir, listen, we're gonna have to get your son a helmet out of Texas. We're gonna have to order a helmet from Texas. We live in Florida, because we just don't have a helmet that'll fit his head." And I had a hook, a big old head. So I always attributed that to a big brain. Now that that scientifically, it may not be true, but people used to try to make me feel better. I didn't care about my head. Honestly, I didn't care about my head. I was confident. But my mom would say, "Hey, big head mean you got a big brain." And not scientifically. But I always said that to myself. I got a big brain. I got the best memory in the world. And I always had that. So I really don't have to write stuff down. Everything I'm telling you, I say it to myself. And it's etched in my mind. It's on the tables of my heart. But everybody doesn't learn the same way. So if you have not written it down, but you have not established this in your life to be so, then that means you need to be writing it down. That means you saying it to yourself and reciting it and getting it in your spirit, on your heart, is not good enough for you. You need to write it down. So when your hand going through the motion, your brain is forming those letters and it's etching and it's reading those words and it's being etched into your mind. So you need to write it down. And you literally got to sit down and write out how you want to be treated, because of how you are treating people. Point blank, period. And then in your business, life, love, business. Now, I answer the questions that come to me. And so I end up answering a lot of questions on relationships. Because when I got online, the closest thing that I had created was my book on love and relationships. So when I got online in 2009, I was tweeting relationship stuff, and I blew up in 2010 on Twitter and became one of the top 25 black men on Twitter. And out of all of the hundreds of thousands that was on there, I was in the top 25 based on retweets, based on virality. So, and number one was LeBron. And it was a site that ranked the top 100. I was number 25. Number 26 behind me was a famous comedian. And so it was real. My tweets was going viral, but it was mostly love and relationship. So people always come to me for love and relationship. And so I just serve where I'm needed. But I'm also a businessman. And I retired from working for other people at 27 years old. So to retire at 27 from working for other people, that is an accomplishment. So I have books on entrepreneurship, courses on entrepreneurship, because I really do that. And so I have to take, and I teach on love, but you also have to identify your business side of things, and you got to have standards in business. And so for me, it's kind of like this. You need to write out what you want to create, what you will create in 2020 that you cannot be fired from. What will you create or produce or sell that will be a representation of you? So if you need to write your book, write your book. If you need to start your nonprofit, start your foundation. If you need to start your LLC, start your LLC. But understand this. If you work in a job, you need to identify how you want to be treated on that job based on what you're giving, what you want to receive. So when I was working for somebody, I worked 5 years. from, I'm guessing I was 22. I worked from 22 to 27. And I was working at a group home. I was working at a group home. So it was a nonprofit organization, I believe. And they had a big budget, probably 2 million to 10 million a year. And we had different houses. Well, my rule was I didn't work overtime. I didn't work overtime because I had a dream. I had a vision that I'm not going to be here forever. And I used to tell my coworkers, I'm not going to be here forever with you. And they'll, yeah, yeah. And I say, I'm making money outside of here in my business. You ain't making too much. You still coming here. And I just would take it because I had doubled my income in my entrepreneurship than what I was being paid on the job. But because I have a wife and we had our first son, I didn't feel comfortable just leaving my job for entrepreneurship until I knew that I could see the bridge. I wasn't in a space of taking a leap of faith. I needed the bridge, okay, because I had responsibilities. If I was by myself, I'd have been left. But because I could eat on pork and beans and bread, or some ramen noodles. But having a wife and a son, I had to have something. I had to have that insurance and have an income. So I would say that. I would tell people that, and they didn't believe it. I was working that job when I went on Oprah to tell my story on Oprah. And that was a live airing, so it's not on YouTube or archived. It was a live show. And I told my story of being a toxic, controlling boyfriend in college. And I had written a book with some of that wisdom that I learned from being that terrible man. Right after Oprah, I went to Tyra Banks. And she showed my self-published book to the world. What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl. And I was 25 years old and I was working that job at the group home. So they saw me go on Oprah. They saw me go on Tyra Banks. But I still was coming back to work. And so they were like, man, what's going on? Like, I thought you big celebrity. You still at work. But I had a plan. So they would come to me every day, Tony, you want overtime? You want to do overtime? You want to do overtime? You want to do it? No, I'm not doing overtime. If that's not required in my job description that I have to do overtime, I'm not doing overtime. So I did not do overtime because outside of that job, I needed to be working on me. So I say that to say, do you have a vision and a dream for your business life, for your career? January 11th, I'm doing a life coaching certification for people who want to become a life coach. I'll put the link in the description. Meet me in Atlanta. If you can't make it there, I have the certification course on TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. And I'll link that in the description. Do you have a vision for your exit plan? Do you have an exit strategy from your job? And if you do, you got to have a certain energy on that job. So what I started doing with this job is I would go, and this right here, these hadn't come out. These here came out. iPhone had these here. So this how I be in the job. Just like this. Yes, sir. And this right here, in here, was podcast all day. Now, when I pull up to the job, it was gospel music. I'm listening to gospel music. Whoever I'm listening to at the time. I can't remember back then if Tasha Cobbs was out. I don't think she was out, but it could have been Fred Hammond, John P. Key, Kirk Franklin, somebody. I'm listening to a good gospel song. So I'm listening to gospel music, and it's getting my spirit right. It's getting my spirit right because I don't want to be at this job, but I'm getting my spirit right. Then I go in there and I go from the music. I may play the music a little bit, 15, 20 more minutes. I switch from the music to the podcast. So I'm working. I'm talking to my clients. I'm doing my book work, writing my reports and everything in the group home. But I got that podcast going. So even when I can't really fully listen, I would just catch bits and pieces, and it's going into my subconscious. When a behavior specialist come in and she come to talk to me, I would sit there and I would talk to her. And while she talking, this right here may still be playing in my ear. Sometimes I may pull it out, but and I'm good spirit. Yeah, okay, all right, I got you. I ain't do no extra talking. I ain't do no complaining. I worked as if I was working unto the Lord. I got to that place, but I didn't play no games. I did not play no games. I was real about this thing. You hear me? And so when I needed to go to a speaking engagement and I called out, I asked for 2 days off. I had 2 superiors, 2 bosses, 2 black men too. So I'm thinking like we brothers. One of them tell me, "Nah, we ain't gonna be able to get that to you, Tony." So I said, "All right, I'm gonna go to your boss." Went to his boss, Tony, we ain't gonna be able to give them 2 days off. We need you at work. But see, what happened is they became crabs in the barrel. They were mad because I was doing stuff outside of the job. So when I had a Impala on 22s and it got stole, they saw that. The big boss, he laughed. I called him. I was like in tears, like, man, I can't come into work. My car got stole. He was like, hey, that's life. He literally laughed. I say, what? My wife took and got a loan, and she went and got me a Lexus, a LS 400 off the lot. And it was a 2004. We're in 2006 at this time. No, not 2004. 1994. So it was 10 years old, but that thing was nice. Leather was perfect. Pearl paint on the outside, blue, sky blue, LS 400. And they didn't change the body style a lot. So it was multi-millionaires driving that same body style. So she got it for $6,500. She put $3,500 down, and we financed the other $3,500 for a year. It gave me a good 12 months. But when I pull up on that thing, woo, the boss man was like, what? How you went from an Impala to a Lexus? I thought to myself, yeah, you were laughing at me. Because it looked like more than what it cost. That thing looked nice. So that was my wife. She showed up for me. And she blessed me. After that, I pull up, I went and got me a C240, Mercedes-Benz. I always stretch myself. I never had a limited mindset. I want what I want. If it's nice, I want it because I'm stretching my mind. I'm not finna be riding old beat up jalopy talking about this what I know. I went to the lot with faith and I was ahead of my time. So people wait till they get to a certain place and think that they deserve something. No, I knew I deserved what I wanted from the bottom. And so I went and I got me that C240. Whipped up on him at the job. Not a big boss like, what? Because he driving an old beat up jalopy. But he probably earned 3 times that I earned. The car payment wasn't bad. It was like $400 a month. It was affordable. And so, but it was just limited mindset. Because people were driving jalopies for $300 a month. Because they went and got a bad deal. I went and got a good deal and was driving nicer cars. So then I pull up on that. Boom. So now they was getting mad. Your coworkers could see you start your blog, see you write your book, see you become a life coach, go to the life coach certification, see you start doing things outside of your job, and they're going to start to hate because, see, they like the fleas, that study where they did with the fleas, where they had the top on and the fleas kept jumping, and they hitting the top and they're bouncing down, and they got stuck there. They removed the top and none of the fleas jumped past where that top was. So a lot of times your coworkers, they become like that there, the flea. And so when you leaping out and you taking leaps of faith and you making power moves, they get jealous. And so sometimes this jealousy will be your manager, your supervisor. And they jealous of you because your car nicer than theirs. But it's just because you done went and you believed in yourself and you say, hey, I lived once. I got my stuff in order. This what I want to drive. This what I'm going to drive. So now you done went and did that. Now your supervisor mad at you. So when you call off, your supervisor say, we can't do that. And guess what? I kept my standards. So when I said, hey, I need to take these 2 days off, and they said no, I saw another guy who I work with taking off all kind of days. He work in the same house I work in. He didn't have as much going on as I did outside of it. I think he played the guitar at some bars sometimes, but he called it all off left and right. Now, this was a white gentleman. This was a white gentleman. And so what I did, I went to EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Council or Committee. I Googled it, discrimination. EEOC popped up. I went right on down there to the EEOC. I did not know what I was doing, but I went right on down there and I filled out that application and they sent it to my job. And then the job came and said, well, Tony, now before this, I went and told on my two bosses that didn't give me the days. I said, okay, we want to play that game. You want to play that game? Don't throw rocks if you live in a glass house. And they were breaking some rules inside of the company. I went and I talked to the higher ups and I talked about this here. And I said, well, look, you got a whole lot of stuff going on in this here house. And then they want to pick and choose when they want to do right. No, sir, I'm the wrong one. And they said, well, Tony, are you just telling all of this? Are you just talking about the problems in the house because you didn't get your vacation time? I said, don't worry about why I'm talking about it. What I'm saying is you can't throw rocks if you live in a glass house. So the big bosses, they didn't want to do anything. The head, the top of the company, I'm talking about CEO, they didn't want to do anything. So guess what? I went to EEOC. When EEOC sent them that letter, they called me with different energy. They called me, hey, I'm talking 45 minutes, so if you got to go, just pause and then come on back and catch. I'm going to go 45 this Sunday, so this is a Sunday sermon. And they called me, and they said, they called a job, and the job called me, Tony, yes, we got a letter from EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity, and we want to know, like, what is the issue, and if we can work this out before we have to go this far. And I said, no. Keep that same energy was not a phrase back then, but that's essentially what I said. I said, no, we'll meet up there. We'll meet up at the EEOC for our mediation. So we went up there to the EEOC, and they had a mediator. So the mediator, they go to them, talk to them, they come to me, and they go back and forth. Mr. Gaskin, what you want? I throw me out a dollar number. I throw me out a number for my distress, heartache. Now, according to your agreement, you can't say what you got in your settlement. That's against the laws. Now, this was 2010, so we 2020. So, and then they go back and forth. Then they bring us in the room together. And I sat down and I talked to the people. I sat down talking to the CEO, the head people. I'm talking to them and I tell them just like this right here. I say, listen here, okay? I got all this right here on y'all. I got all this. I keep my documents. Everything, all the rules y'all done broke on against OSHA, HIPAA, violations, y'all giving wrong medication. You hit me. I was in there like an attorney. You not finna play me like I'm job scared. I'm not one of those other slave mentality. We in the South. We in Florida. It's Confederate flags on the back of y'all truck. But I'm not that. I'm Nat Turner. You hear me? So we gonna have some issues. So here I was. I let them know. I said I got over 200 pages of documents. So listen to me. We gonna come to a deal in here, or I got an attorney, and because my manager is an attorney and know the number one civil attorney in the state of Florida, we asking for 7 figures if I have to go beyond this. That's what I told them. And they say, okay, all right. They came back, so we came to us a settlement. And they say, well, we can't do it lump sum. We'll pay you each month. And what we ask is that we give you this settlement and that you resign. And I told the mediator and I told him, you going to give me that settlement and I'll leave when I get ready to leave. Because I ain't did nothing yet. Because my season wasn't up. See, the good book say that the Lord will prepare a table for you before your enemies. So I went to work for 3 more months. I went to work for 3 more months with a smile of victory. You hear me? I'm at the job. How you doing? Hello, how you doing? Because now I'm getting my paycheck and I'm getting my settlement on top of the paycheck. Because y'all want to discriminate. Because y'all see me doing me. Y'all see me working my 40 hours, and because I won't give you 55 like everybody else, you want to try to hurt me when I need to take some time off. But because this guy give you 60 hours a week, when he asks for time off, you give him his time off. But I'm not required to work overtime by the state, by the laws of this here state. Full time is 36 hours. I'm giving y'all 40 to 42. So don't try me, because I'm going to go to the extent of the law. See, I have standards in life, in love, and in business. And that's what produces my success. That's what produces that. Because see, you have God and God is there with you. But you still, and you know, God going to fight your battles, and vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So you don't have to get vengeance. You just got to have your standards. You got to know who you are. You got to use everything that you can use in your power, in life, in love, and in business. So guess what? I walked that job. I went in there every day with a smile. How you doing? I'm just cheesing, feeling good. And they looking at me and they mad. Who does he think he is? Who do he think he is? In here, you know, that's how they was looking at me. But you can't touch me, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. All my paperwork done. I'm coming on time. I'm no write-ups. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So you can't touch me. You hear what I'm telling you? I ain't barking and complaining, but then showing up to work an hour late. No, I ain't doing no shows and unexcused absences. I'm not doing all that. I'm not messing up on my paperwork. I made sure every single thing was right on my paperwork, because I knew they was going to be checking. They was going to be looking. And guess what? The people who blocked me from my time off, they got fired. They got fired for whatever reasons. And I was able in my business to strike a deal. I struck a deal with a venture capitalist for one of my companies. And he wrote me a little check, a little small check, $35,000. But that check at 27 years old, that was $15,000 more than what the job paid me for a year. And this guy I grew up with, and he came to me. I ain't grew up with him, but I met him, in high school. And he came to me and he said, look, man, what it's going to take for you to go to the next level? But mind you, when he said this, I had went on Oprah. I had went on Tyra Banks. I had went on TBN. And I had built to, I think, 50,000 followers on Twitter. So I was grinding. So I ain't getting no handouts. I was working for me. And then when he came with that, it was, I put my 2 weeks in. My birthday was going to be on March 8th. My 2-week notice landed me at March 13th. So I spent my birthday, I don't know if I worked or not that day, if I had to work or not, because my days off was in the middle of the week, like Tuesday or Wednesday. So I stayed 3 months. After I did my settlement, I worked for 3 more months. And I told them, I said, no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to leave when I want to leave, because I'm going to be gone soon anyways. By my 5 years, my goal to be done at 5 years. They probably thought I was going to be there another few years. They probably thought when I left that I was going to have to come back in 6 months, because that's what a lot of people did. A lot of people, they would quit out of frustration, quit out of anger, quit out of ego, quit out of arrogance. No, I quit out of obedience. I quit when God said, listen, you got a family and I respect you as a man for not putting too much on your family, because I don't expect your wife and your son to have the faith that you have or to see the vision that I've given you, because I gave it to you. So you stayed and you worked and did what you had to do for your family. So now here go the bridge. Here go the bridge. And when I went across that bridge, guess what? I was making $20,000 on the job. I was making $40,000 in my business outside of my job. So I worked 40 hours for them and I worked 30 to 40 hours for me. That's where my overtime was going. And when I left that their job, you hear me? The next time I counted my income was $147,000 in 12 months. I went from making $20,000 to making $150,000 when I started working for myself full time, using my gifts as an author, a speaker, a life coach, a ghostwriter, an author consultant. I maxed out in my gifts, and this was 2011. 2011, and then it was 2012 when that happened. And so, and I was 27, 28 years old, and I went to making 150,000. This was before I was actively using YouTube. This was before Instagram. This was before I got on Facebook. All I was using was Twitter at the time. So I'm here to tell you, and if you got to this point, hey, put "be blessed" in the comments. I said I was gonna put some links in the description, so forgive me if I lied, if I forget by the time I upload this. But sit with this, listen to this on your way to work, when you going to sleep, and grab some motivation somewhere out of it and apply it to your life. Set new standards in 2020 and achieve greatness. Start working on yourself in a way that's going to take your life to the next level. Hey, this is Tony Gaskins. God bless you. We'll talk soon.